and welcome. I'm Mr. Keir from SchoolTech HQ, and I want to share with you today some guidance as to what coding looks like for young learners. As parents, especially non-coder parents, they can believe that children as young as 4 can code. Most people think of coding being this complicated language that you have to be in high school or even university to understand and to do. Well, I'm here to tell you that that is far from the truth. I hope to shed some light on what coding might actually look like, particularly before that style of coding that you're probably thinking of right now. So let's start from our youngest coders, children who are around 4 or 5 years old. You might be thinking, these children are still learning to communicate and share their thoughts. They can't read. How can they code? Well, yes, it's true that children who are 4 to 7 years old may be learning their phonics and words, but they have the potential to be amazing coders. At this stage, all children need to learn is directions, and the rest sort of falls into place. The style of coding that children aged 4 to 7 can be exposed to and use is something called icon coding. It looks something like this. A bunch of puzzle pieces with pictures or icons on them which show the instructions for that piece. Now, there are various online and offline activities that children at this age can do to learn their basic directions and associated vocabulary, mainly forwards, backwards, left turn, and right turn. The main tools available for this age range are, for physical coding practice or learning, Bbots, the Sphero series, basic maze games, Botley, etc. And for virtual coding practice and learning, Codable and Scratch Junior. The virtual coding options use icon coding, and here's an example of what that might look like in practice. This is Scratch Junior, which is only available as an app for iOS and Android. As you can see, this is very child-friendly with big and clear icons and buttons. So with this app, when you start a project, you can see that they've got a window which is where the child can see what their instructions will do. This button section is where the child will easily drag and drop icons they want to use, like so. And you can see that these icons will snap together just like a jigsaw. Once the child is happy with what they have done, they can select the green flag and watch the instructions come to life. For 4 years old, this app is brilliant for just exploring. By the time they are 7, they'll be able to create some rather complex instructions and games/animations. So that's a snapshot of the earliest a child can begin coding, but where does it go from here? Well, the virtual coding realm becomes a bit more complex with lots of different options for practicing and learning key coding principles. This style of coding is known as block coding, and children move from using horizontal instructions in icon coding to creating more complex vertical instructions. Looks something like this. Similar to 4 to 7 year olds, the 7+ age group will still code with a drag and drop style. The main difference is that there are more complex instructions and more coding principles that children will learn. For physical coding practice, for 7+, there are Microbit, Lego Spike series, the Sphero series, Marty the Robot, and several others. And for virtual coding, learning and practice, we have Hour of Code, Scratch, and interfaces for the physical devices mentioned earlier. Here is a brief look at the Scratch program. As you can tell, the layout of the interface is different to the junior version, Scratch Junior. Another difference is that this version is only available on a web browser and not as an iOS or Android application. So you can see that there are more instructions, which, unlike the icon blocks, have words instead of pictures or icons. When you want to create an animation or game, you simply drag and drop the instructions that you want, and they will, just like the junior version, click into place, essentially like a jigsaw. To see your animation or game working, and just like the junior version, you select the green arrow and watch the play window on the top right. At this stage, any new software or hardware, children should be given time to explore and play around. There are tons of tutorials available for each of these learning aids I have mentioned, and I'll make sure to link The website's below. Now, I mentioned that the second stage of learning to code for children was 7+. I didn't add an end age for that. And the reason for this was that moving on to script coding will depend on a few factors, such as the confidence of the adult, whether at home or at school, leading the learning, how bored the child is using block coding, the age of the child, and your national curriculum. Children can start looking at script coding from around 10+, as by this stage they have learned the fundamentals of coding and now need the ultimate challenge, learning to write the entire line of code themselves. Most of the time, there are only 4 coding languages that children around 10 will be taught and exposed to, and they are HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and Python. At this stage, most of the physical devices that were mentioned previously can be programmed with both block coding and script coding. When it comes to learning through virtual programs, there is Code Combat, an hour of code which will offer free script coding practice. It should be noted that script coding should be seen as a way to still teach and learn the fundamental coding principles, but just through a more challenging medium. Here's a clip of what Code Combat might look like for a learner. So as you can see, the children learn to code through the game and they choose what they want to use, Python, JavaScript, or some others. And if you have an account as a teacher or an educator where it's in this classroom, you have then more options within this of what games you can play. So whether your child is in nursery, in primary school, about to start high school, or in high school, there are opportunities to learn how to code for them. In fact, for anyone. Coding has so many benefits and can help children become great problem solvers and creative thinkers. Thank you for watching. Remember to check out the rest of the channel and website when it's up and running for more code alongs and guides. Whether you are in school or at home learning, I hope this has been useful. Leave a comment below telling me what experience you have had or someone you know has had with coding. Again, thanks for watching. Until next time, bye.